I think I'm going to play it right now because otherwise I can't. It sort of fits into the whole discussion. The prophecy by Chris Bledsoe, April next year, the discoveries being made in the Giza Plateau. You see Philip Biondi sitting there and his colleague. And this guy in the middle with the hat, he's the one that crawls underneath the pyramid in those tunnels. He's been living in Egypt for, I think his whole life. And he's been exploring these underground systems as best as he can. And, he's matching his results and his findings up with those by Philip Biondi.
Yeah.
Actually, the Unity project, Jay Anderson did a really cool interview with the guy with the hat. I forgot his name, but anyway, let's play.
Discovery around the Giza Plateau that have kind of got you inspired about what's going on underneath it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having us here, by the way. Yeah. It has been a long story with a few pivotal moments along the way, starting with meeting John Anthony West when I was much younger. I was just graduating high school, about 18 years old. And I ended up meeting him and becoming very close with him and his family, and ended up just reading his book, The Serpent in the Sky. So I always say it's a really solid foundation for when you're getting into Egypt, something that really teaches you how to look at Egypt in the right way, very focused on the esoteric and number symbolism and form and geometry and all this, the way things are coded into it, all of that. But anyone who knows John Anthony West knows that he's also associated. He brought Robert Schoch there to look at the Sphinx, and their analysis of the water weathering and all the subsurface weathering as well ended up leading them to the story everyone knows. They discovered the chamber below the Sphinx's front left paw, and then this immediately kind of caught them up into the whole Edgar Casey prophecies or predictions of this being not a hall of records, but an entry chamber that would lead towards these record chambers he described from a previous age of advanced civilization. So when I first saw that, I started looking into it more and more. This is obviously a very intriguing subject, and it could be, not only written records or, carved in stone or different mediums, but potentially working technology or things that could kind of bring back maybe an ancient sacred science is what R.A. Schwaller de Lubic's called it, which is a completely different type of science that is more advanced than ours. And essentially I was seeing, if this is a real thing, it's something that could really transform our world for the better and help us to build new sciences and build new ways of thinking. And it's like, if this is real, it's going to transform the world in a beautiful way. So
I want to stop it there. It's a really cool interview, by the way. I think the channel is called Megalithic. I didn't know about it. Megalithomania UK. It's a pretty cool channel. But yeah, so you already, Edgar Casey, of course, I already mentioned him. He's going to play a role in Atlantis. Basically, the pyramids and Giza will also play a role in Atlantis. But this also sort of ties back to what Chris Bledsoe was saying about this new knowledge being revealed when, I forgot the star name above the Sphinx, or I think he said the Sphinx, right? It turns red instead of blue, which is in April next year. So, a lot of prophecies about there being a hall of records in the underneath the pole of the, or at least somewhere underneath the Giza Plateau. Let me put it like that.
Yeah.
That might have been something that certain circles, certain powerful circles, might be aware of, and might also be wanting to hide from us, right? Because maybe they want to grab it for themselves once the time comes. Like maybe that's the point of us being woken up before it happens, so that we are aware that they don't grab it before, because it doesn't belong to them, right? It belongs to all of us. So maybe there's a race against the clock there, and maybe these orbs are trying to wake us up. before this is revealed. And plus, we have no idea what kind of knowledge or records or whatever technologies. And of course, remember the Martian boy, the sort of reincarnated Martian boy who came from Mars and then got reincarnated. And he was basically saying very similar things to Edgar Casey and Chris Bledsoe about,
There is a thing.
records.
Do you know David Wilcock?
Uh,
He was an ancient alien, and he was very much into that. He also claimed that he's the reincarnation of Edgar Casey.
of Edgar Casey?
Yeah, he said that I am Edgar Casey. He has like written a whole book about that, and he's comparing his face with Edgar Casey. That I remember that I am Edgar Casey. So a lot of people make a lot of shit up. So I don't. Even the respectable people like David Wilcock, who was, I won't say very respectable, but like who was big into Ancient Alien and everything. Like I used to be a big fan of him, but his claim when he said I am Edgar Casey, and then now I remember, it's just like that turns me off.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So I don't follow along those lines when somebody claim that I'm the reincarnation, because I'm not a big believer of reincarnation anyway.
Well, there is a lot of evidence for it, actually, but I can totally understand your skepticism.
Yeah,
and there's different ways that you can. Usually, people become aware that they are reincarnated at a very young age, like 4 or 5, when they are not even aware that they are saying it. Right? That their parents are like, what?
Also, the parents can implant that idea into their head.
Yeah, but this research that's done by the University of Virginia, the Department of Perceptual Studies, they've been doing this research for over 30 years now, all across the world. And the cases that they have come up with, they will blow your mind off your neck.
And I will look into that. But
yeah, there's actually a really good documentary about it on Netflix called After Death, I think it was. I'll try to look it up. I think
the point I don't understand. What's the point of reincarnation?
Not after.
No, the whole, my question is, what's the point of reincarnation? If you don't remember anything from your previous life, then that's not even you. It's a different person. That's my whole thing.
Yeah, you are also a different person. Yeah. So
it's like a different person, not the same. So it's not the reincarnation. Reincarnation only makes sense if you can remember your whole previous life as the same person. If it's a different thing, that's a different person. You are your memories. That's all we are.
Yeah, but take for example, so this one, Surviving Death, worth watching. Definitely worth watching if you have the time, and especially this one. What we're talking about right now is episode 6. It's the final episode. So the best episode is actually at the end. Same as with Apocalypse, Ancient Apocalypse.
So it's a audio or video?
It's a video. It's like a documentary. Like yeah. It's really good. Really
Surviving Death. Okay, I'm gonna watch that.
Yeah. So we have to hurry.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I'll save this one for next. Let's see if I can. Actually, what I wanted to do, but these are pretty long clips. Well, let's try to do them. We'll just try to do them in a row. Okay. So because really cool stuff also happens in the UAP world, and this interview with Ross Coulthard and Jesse Mitchell's 2 greats in the UAP space had some really great moments like this.
Watch this video. It is the most mind-blowing video ever.
Let me tell you, I am in no doubt whatsoever, Jesse, that there is a deep underground military bunker that was built in the 1950s under Secret Mountain. That's what it's called. It's the hilarious thing. It's somebody's secret joke. It's called Secret Mountain.
Unbelievable.
Near Sedona. It's within 5-7 kilometers of Sedona. And more importantly, there's a place called Secret Canyon where there's allegedly a portal, some kind of interdimensional portal. And I thought all of this was just crazy nonsense. But There are incredibly brave and super, super interesting people, Jeremiah Horstman and his wife Alexandra particularly, who live in Sedona, and they've been doing some really clever on-the-ground research.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things we did, a lot of the stuff we got, as so often happens, you can't put it in the story because you can't get these people to go on camera. But there was a number of people who would privately admit that they'd been walking in what is public land, public parkland, and they'd be stopped by men with guns, men in uniform, with automatic weapons, clearly highly trained elite soldiers, probably tier 1 operatives from the way they moved. And they would basically order people, go away or we will kill you. No mucking around. And there are sightings, numerous sightings of what we saw. I saw it with my own eyes. I was told that the best time of night is around about 1:30 in the morning. And if you looked at a particular place over Secret Mountain, you would see this big orb being escorted by helicopters rising from behind Secret Mountain. So I was skeptical, but we went out with a local lady, Melinda Leslie, who has some good quality military-grade night vision goggles, and we watched at 1:30 in the morning, and sure enough, up comes this beautiful golden orb, gigantic. It pulses, it's plasmatic, it slowly moves off, and the way it moved, you couldn't tell if it's because it got smaller or whether it went so fast that it just disappeared so quickly, but it just disappeared. And they were being escorted by military Black Hawk helicopters. Dozens of them. I mean, the helicopter fuel bill alone for the evening that we're watching them must have been somewhere between $50,000 to $100,000.
Yeah, so we know where all that the billions, trillions of missing money went to buy them.
Yeah, but by the way, about that clip he's talking about, I've seen those things like almost every night in January and February of this year. And they stopped after February. So they started, remember, like when the New Jersey thing started, around the same time I started seeing this stuff. But on January and February, I remember whenever I go out to look for them, I was seeing that. It was so common sighting that I stopped filming it. And I have a lot of videos of that. There, because the camera is so shitty, you can't see it, but you can see a white dot, like exactly what they're talking about. Exactly like that. Coming and then disappearing. Like the way they are saying they go too small that you just lose them.
Okay, but then he mentioned a portal. And we already mentioned Skinwalker Ranch, but apparently there's multiple Skinwalker Ranches. We're now going to learn more about the portal.
There's allegedly a portal in the Bradshaw Ranch that was seen by the former owner of the ranch, Linda Bradshaw, and she actually took photographs of it. And it opened up in a particular area of the ground around that ranch, which just so happens to be the area that's fenced off. And we noticed that there is a tower in the middle of that area. This is supposedly a deserted ranch. There's nobody there, there's no electrical power, and there's solar panels on this post that has a camera. Now, if you're protecting the security of what is supposedly an academic research institution, you have the camera pointed out so that you can see people coming from the outside.
Yeah.
But you know where the camera's pointing?
Where?
It's pointing exactly at the point where Linda Bradshaw says she saw the portal. And then the other thing we noticed when we were there, and this was picked up by my friend Paul, who's an Australian ground-penetrating radar operator, he heard a humming. And he kicks a bush aside, and there's this gigantic three-phase power box with a cable definitely going into the ground.
Whoa.
Three-phase power. And it's humming. And then we walk a bit further around, and there's another one. And there's massive amounts of electrical power going into the ground under Bradshaw Ranch. And we didn't put this in the feature-length film that we put to air on primetime, but it runs in the full-length interview with Paul, my friend. he did a ground penetrating radar check on the road around Bradshaw Ranch, and we found a 50-foot wide reinforced steel concrete, highly visible on ground penetrating radar, literally just under the ground.
Whoa.
I mean, I'm in no doubt whatsoever it's there.
Can you get down there?
No. I mean, I was half tempted to get a shovel and start digging, you know. But the interesting thing is, the other thing we learned about was there's an egress point into this whole secret facility called the Clarkdale cement plant. And the weird thing about it is it's nowhere near Secret Mountain. It's halfway between two mountain ranges. But if you run a direct line between those two mountain ranges and put it through Bradshaw Ranch where we know there's a tunnel, or at least we picked up the tunnel, and if you match the walls of the tunnel with where it goes directly to the Clarkdale cement plant. And one of the things we heard about from locals was that 20 years ago, the drilling was so intense that things were shaking on their bookshelves, and they were obviously tunneling underneath the village at Clarkdale where these people live. And people were even compensated for damage.
Wow.
And, I don't understand as a journalist. I mean, I've been taught journalism to do the work on the ground and go and ask the question. Don't accept what you're told by some defense PR flunky. Go in and check and do the basic checking. And I think the interesting thing is that this is all coming out at a time in journalism where, sadly, investigative journalism is in serious decline, because even the great masthead newspapers like the New York Times, the Wash Post, the LA Times, the Boston Globe, the Baltimore Sun, papers I grew up, like, I didn't have Bay City rollers on my wall. I used to paste up big newspaper investigations. That's what I always wanted to be. And it's sad because that era of great big budget investigative journalism where they would deploy teams of people to go and investigate stuff, it's well and truly over. And the big unspoken secret about the New York Times is even the New York Times doesn't have the resources to do this kind of journalism. But all you need to do, if I was the editor of a newspaper today, I would put 10 days into deploying a couple of investigative journalists to go up from Phoenix and have a look at what I saw in Sedona. And you will find a deep underground military facility that is highly protected, has hydraulically operated doors in the side of mountainsides, and is secretly operating what I suspect is non-human technology.
It's amazing. And it corroborates, Larry Saunders, who wrote a book about deep underground military bases.
Richard Saunders.
Sorry, thank you. And Catherine Austin Fitts, who talks about large, trillions of dollars missing from the federal budget, from the DoD budget, to go towards these projects.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's
You can't
so
make
much.
this shit up.
Yeah, you can. I still think there are two things going on parallelly. Like, one is like the that these guys are making things up, and then there's like external, outside, like non-human intelligence interfering.
Yeah. That's also my take. Yeah. And with the
It's
first
not
take,
just like one or another. I think both of those things are happening at the same time.
yeah, no doubt about it. And then I would say with the first thing, what you said, like, that there's this group of people, which could also be an international group, because it doesn't have to be the United States per se. It can be an international operating
Elite
group like Spectre in James Bond or whatever, or groups, right? Can also be multiple. And of course, different countries, right? Because I'll play this one. Actually, I want to play them all.
globalists. We call them globalists. Let's just call them.
Yeah. So I think within the globalist system, like we talked about before, like I think before the Russia-Ukraine war started, sort of COVID was the height of the globalist plan of world domination, and then it fell apart, and then you got deglobalization. But these factions probably couldn't find a way to cooperate, and this is also the great filter, the Fermi paradox, right? Where are all those aliens? Well, they're probably here, but we can't see them because they kill themselves when they reach a certain level of technological advancement, because of the technology becomes so advanced and the world becomes so globalized that somebody makes a mistake, and as the tensions rise, as you can see right now, the system is falling apart. People start not trusting each other. Treaties fall apart, and then technologies reach extreme levels, which is one of the reasons why people don't trust each other anymore, and why they also are very scared of each other's capabilities. Then one miscalculations, like what happened in World War One, when somebody made a mistake and killed the wrong person, or even World War II with the Versailles Treaty, that created Hitler. Nobody knew in advance that would happen. You could have, but they didn't. And then you have World War II, right? These things happen without somebody wanting them to happen, but they happen because people make
Or
mistakes.
maybe somebody wanted that to happen.
Could be.
Because
Or at
if
least,
you're going full on conspiracies, there is like a book which said this is gonna happen way before World War One.
And with World War II, of course, you had banks like JP Morgan who were actually also backing the Nazis, right? There were clear lines between them. As Jason Giorgiani has, very well documented all these lines of different banks and families. But so there's definitely, and that's one of my theories, which I'll save that one for the Antarctica because I think it fits better. But anyway, it also fits here. But we still have some clips to play, so I'll save it. Okay, so I want to play this one. I'll try to run through them quickly because we're running late.
Well, it was funny because I honestly, genuinely had the feeling that like 1% of his brain was answering my questions and the other 99% was working on another problem.
Right.
But the thing I was really impressed with was he was excited to show me around the SpaceX factory in LA because that was where they were building the new rockets. And a lot of the people in SpaceX, but particularly in the Tesla factory right next door, are Aussies. Because the Australians had laid off all of their car industry. We completely destroyed, in an act of utter stupidity, our entire car industry. And so a lot of those engineers went to work for Elon, and he loved Aussie engineers. But the thing I was really impressed with was he knew more about every aspect of the production line than anybody that he was showing us that day. And it wasn't some big performance. He really did know. And he was asking about metal tolerances and, he really knew his stuff. Yeah. Every aspect of that production line, he knew intimately. And you could see he had everybody on his toes. And frankly, that's, if you're going to be running a rocket business or an electric car business, that's exactly the kind of proprietor you want.
Yeah. No, he's incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
He has a unique mind and ability to make things happen.
Albeit, I'm sure he's probably highly annoying to live with.
I'm sure, and probably hiding something when it comes to the UFO issue. Because
I think he's been read in.
I think he has to.
I've been told he's been read in.
I think so too. Speaking of which, speaking of high-level people that you've spoken to, you were interviewed by Don Jr., the son of the sitting president, before you broke the Jake Barber story. What was that like, and did it give you any hope as far as American movement on disclosure at the highest level?
If Don Trump Sr. listens to his son, Don Trump Jr. is very engaged and interested in UFOs, and in a really well-informed way as well. I mean, he's been briefed by a lot of people, and there's been a lot of, well, not a lot, but there's been multiple secret briefings of the Trump camp before they came into government. And it's interesting because I am persuaded, not at the moment though I'm seeing any action, but I am persuaded that people like Tulsi Gabbard, Nash Patel in the FBI, Tulsi, of course, is the DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe at the CIA. These are all people who've previously expressed a strong desire to get to the truth of the UAP mystery. And I don't think it's any coincidence that Representative Anna Paulina Luna, when she was tweeting earlier this week about what a hopeless cause ARROW is, that's the Pentagon UFO Investigation Office.
Good for her.
She made the observation that they were obviously a waste of money and should be defunded.
That's right.
She implied that the money should go to someone else, and I think that's the FBI she's talking about.
Yeah.
Because I'm told that the briefing that the FBI gave in Congress really blew people away. And watch that FBI ongoing investigation. I've dealt with some of the people on the investigation team.
Yep.
And I like G-men.
Yeah.
They're like dogs on a bone.
Yep.
And they're looking at crimes.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, if what we're talking about here is true, David Grush, Jake Barber, they have insinuated and alleged outright in Jake's case that people have been murdered.
That's right.
To protect this secret.
Yeah.
It's a capital crime.
Yeah.
There are people who I suspect are very nervous right now in the Legacy program because they are under active FBI investigation.
Yeah, I wonder what the mentality is of
Arrogance.
somebody, probably.
Smug
right?
arrogance. I have no doubt they think they're going to get away with it. And you know what?
Why?
They probably will.
Oh, no, don't say that.
No, I'm pretty bleak. I'm not. I actually had an argument earlier on today, actually. Well, not an argument, but a free and frank exchange of views with a lawyer who's been liaising with Congress. And they were having a bit of go at me because I talked about how I'm talking to Legacy program whistleblowers who want to come forward, but they're wary of coming forward. And they took a swipe at me and basically said, we've got all these protections in Congress. You should bring them in and encourage them to come in. And I said, well, hang on a bloody moment. Look at what they've done with David Grush's allegations.
That's right.
Sweet FA.
Yeah.
You know, David gave them first-hand direct information from his sources of where to look, where to find the spacecraft.
Yes.
Where to literally go and open the door. Oh, by the way, there's a spacecraft recovered from Aztec.
Yeah.
Open this door. Oh, yeah, that's the one from Kingman.
That's right.
You know, who's the person in charge? What's
the
title of the program? What's the code name? He gave them chapter and verse. How many subpoenas have been issued, Senate Select Committee for Intelligence, for any of that information? Nada.
So crazy.
Fucking nada. And so I don't think Congress is doing its job. And frankly, I do get the impression that congressional staffers are captive to the defense establishment.
Yeah, I mean, that feels right. I mean, the last time around, the UAPDA was killed by Mike Turner, where, like, you know, his largest donors were all defense.
No, but I mean, it's funny because, I mean, a lot.
So I'll stop that one there. But but there's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, I think I have so many things to say about this clip because it's just amazing. What he said is amazing, but I also want to say that the people he mentioned, Tulsi Gabbard, Kash Patel, and all of those guys are sellout. They sold everyone on Epstein list. Do you think they will give you anything related to UFO? Yeah.
Okay, so
they are sellout. I don't believe them after that. So Tulsi Gabbard recently, like, Tulsi is different. Tulsi, a few months ago, she said Iran is not building a nuclear weapon. She signed and released official statement. When Trump said we are going to bomb it, she changed her statement. So, like, how the hell you change your statement in 2 months? So that was a sellout. She sold out. Kash Patel is recently sold out everyone on Epstein profile. So, and then forget about Anna Paulina and Luna. She have no power anyway. She's just a congressperson.
Okay, and then
so we are not getting any disclosure. Yeah.
In line with what you're saying, I'm gonna play this clip.
The most important records, for example, the records concerning George Joannides, who was their top psychological warfare officer, never got released. So you're getting the transparency, but you're not getting the real sort of juicy parts. And what the challenge to the committee is, as these hearings are going on, and they end in the fall, so it's a limited window. So the challenge for us now is when they are looking at things like the JFK assassination, the assassination of the political structures from the deep state in the 1960s, all the way through the 80s into the 2000s, and the various deep events in American history, by the time we get to today, with what they're bringing out. If they're just going to bring out, oh, there may have been some mafia people involved, there may have been the Cubans involved, but the government covered up because they needed to at the time, then that's the fake story. That's not a declassification committee. Inman is the one who gets selected to give the Career Intelligence Medal to Joannides, because Joannides saved the UFO project from Kennedy's meddling. This is the nature of the problem. Inman, in 1990, comes out and says, you know what? Not only do we know what the UFO craft are, but we know who's inside operating them. That's a top Central Intelligence Agency figure on record. And he said it to UFO investigator Timothy Good, and he never went back on it later. Now, he ended up working at SAIC and all these very, very murky technology groups over the years. He's still alive. That declass committee can subpoena him and ask him as a friendly witness or as a hostile witness to answer the questions about why the CIA gave Joannides the Career Intelligence Medal. I guarantee you, along with his many, sort of infamous activities, that the reason they gave him the medal was because the Oswald Project saved the UFO file. And that's why Inman is there, standing there, giving it to him. So the Joannides files not coming out is a big kick in the face to transparency efforts, because what it says is there is no disclosure. You get frill documents and you don't get the real thing.
So that would be in line with what you're saying?
Yeah, I will say subpoena him, ask him, but I don't think anybody can say anything, because everything, control disclosure means, I was in favor of control disclosure, but now I understand it's not a control disclosure, it's a controlled misinformation. The only way we're going to get disclosure is catastrophic disclosure. That's the only way, otherwise we will never get anything.
I think there's basically 4 types of disclosure. Like, first of all would be like us, people waking up together and, asking and demanding full transparency, but that's never going to happen. So then secondly, there's controlled disclosure, like of the well-intentioned kind, that they, because of circumstances and the knowledge that they have to disclose it in a certain way, and also with China and Russia and blah, blah, blah. That's apparently not going to happen. And then you have controlled disclosure, as I use the term, and that is more of a mis and disinformation campaign, which is what you're talking about. Is like you get certain aspects that they can use in their narrative that they're fashioning in their favor, that they will, in my opinion, they will give us stuff that will blow our minds, but it will fit their narrative in which they will use it in order to create fear and control. So
they will only give us what is useful for them.
Yeah, what they can use, in order to control.
That's why I'm saying it's totally misinformation. Fuck the whole control disclosure thing. Figure out to do a catastrophic disclosure.
Yeah,
Make
and then the
sure
final
that
one is
those UFOs land on White House. Everybody
and see it. Talking about catastrophic disclosure, which would be either China or Russia or somebody within the deep state disclosing it, or orbs waking us all up and UFOs landing on the White House, that kind of disclosure. I think that also kind of fits the sort of the scenario of Project Bluebeam, right? Because I always wondered, like, these governments start fighting each other and then they unite to fight the UAPs. Right, what's that all about? Well, what if the UAPs are actually here to help us and to wake us up, and then the world unites in order to blow them up and issue in a control state, right? So then, in that sense, that could actually work pretty well. Like, if they can paint the UAPs as something dangerous and out to get us, while they're actually trying to wake us up and warn us for our own governments, then the governments around the world would be. They would be incentivized to work together in order to blow up the aliens before they warn us.
Look, I'll tell you one thing. I am the guy I'm not like a good guy or bad guy kind of a person. I always think there is a gray area. There are no good guys and there are no bad guys. But if there is a war between all the governments of the world uniting against aliens, I will 100% believe that aliens are the good guys.
Okay, then and then the final clip of today, and then we done a lot. I think I'm gonna cut out some parts here and there. I think
Yeah.
which ones. that will shorten the show. But that at least we covered all the stuff. I think this is the last one, and this is basically my own theory presented by Ross Coulthard. I mentioned this theory many times.
Hinting that the US has a weapon, a super weapon.
That's right.
That they haven't revealed yet.
Yeah.
But notice, Putin has said exactly the same thing.
Mm.
And I have been told that the Russians have developed extraordinary weaponry. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if one of the primary reasons for the secrecy is because each nation thinks that they have an advantage with scalar weapons, but the reality is none of them do.
Right. Oh, wow. That's scary that there's some sub-Rosa Manhattan Project 2.0 going on.
Oh, I'm sure there's a Manhattan Project 2.0 going.
Well, you have these rumors that you had Kammlerstab in Nazi Germany where they were doing kind of black world nuclear stuff.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'm sorry, we were trying to finish, but I'll just give you this little tip.
We talk forever, yeah.
There's a friend of mine who speaks to a lot of astronauts and to people who supervised astronauts.
Okay.
And one story that came up was that in the early days of Glasnost, when Russia and America were kind of friends again, Russia imparted to America that it was in possession of a crashed craft, and there was an astronaut, a known astronaut, still alive, deployed to go and, actually I don't know if he's still alive, to go and assist in the retrieval. And a lot has changed in the last, 25 years, since 30 years since the end of the Cold War. 35 years. And it's really interesting because I suspect that there has been collaboration in the distant past between the Americans and the Russians, and that it's suited each side to keep quiet about the fact that there is this sub-Rosa Manhattan Project going on where essentially there's a Cold War. There's a battle for possession of and development of non-human technology, and I'm in no doubt whatsoever that that's happening.
Me neither. So this is exactly my position. And China, same story, and probably other minor powers, same. Israel clearly also, and there's probably others that are developing these technologies or are in collaboration in developing these technologies.
Israel is not doing anything. I'm telling you, they're just taking off the money, and Netanyahu is doing big corruption. That's all. They have not done anything. Like, they did some crazy intelligence operations like pager thing, but technology-wise, I don't believe. Yeah, China is doing crazy research. United States is. And Russia, I don't know what's going on with Russia. I don't think they are doing anything either, because if they have to import drones from Iran, that shows how technologically advanced they are.
Oh, I think like with America, right? When you look at the infrastructure of America, it looks like a third world country, right? I mean, European infrastructure is far superior than
Chinese infrastructure
American.
is amazing, but I'm
But
talking about
we are
technology.
technologically inferior to America in every way.
Yeah, but we are not talking about architecture. Technologically, America
Well,
will
not
never
architecture, infrastructure.
Okay, infrastructure, leave infrastructure. But I'm just talking about technology. United States does not import weapons from any other country. They export it to everyone else. China is not importing anything from anyone because they are exporting
China's
it.
importing massive amounts of stuff from everyone.
They're exporting it. Their planes are being they are rivaling United States in terms of exports.
Yeah, but they're also importing a lot of stuff from a lot of people.
Such as which weapon they have imported and
for example, the knowledge that they've imported from...
knowledge is a different thing, but they use that knowledge to build their own. That's what I'm saying. They are not... for example, Russia is getting drones from Iran. That's a very low point, to be honest.
I don't know. And I think, things can change, right? I mean, a country, Russia has been through a lot. So I think the development during the Cold War is a very different level of development of where they are now, right? So, and you're also talking about secret budget, black budget programs, and the question is, do people even know what's going on in these countries themselves about the people developing them and how far they are, right?
Yeah.
But I think that,
by the way, I'm not taking a cheap shot on it. I'm on Russia. I'm just I'm just saying, in my reading of the world, China and United States are the one who are building crazy technology, and you see, because sometimes United States launch something and you get, whoa, like this is amazing. China come up with some amazing things, but you don't see that coming out of Russia or any other country.
no, yeah, well, the point is, Ashton Forbes has actually unearthed a couple of very old videos of Russian military leaders and generals who were talking basically about implementing scalar weapons in the 80s.
Yeah, this is exactly what I'm saying. They were really amazing. That's why I'm so disappointed. They were amazing till
still have
90s.
those
Then
technologies.
they did, but then they just scrapped everything. Now they are not building anything amazing. This is what I'm saying.
I don't
Because
know.
they were the biggest rival of United States. They were even better than
No,
United
but I mean, you can, with limited resources, you can source the resources that you have to these projects. But then you have left very little resources to fight battles in the Ukraine, never-ending battles in the Ukraine with the entire Western world. Because basically, Russia, by its own, is defeating the Western world together.
Yeah. No, but what
So
I'm saying, like,
that's something about its capabilities, and it's flourishing while it's doing that.
yeah, but when you look, I'll give you an example. Recently, we have two wars outside Russia. One was between Pakistan and India, and one was between Israel and Iran. In Pakistan and India, you see some new technologies. They use jamming devices to jam Indian radars. They shot down three of their Rafales, which is like the amazing plane. When you see a new technology during the war, which the Pakistan and
Yeah,
Iran are
but
nothing compared to Russia and
no, but the point is,
this is one thing.
yeah,
The second thing, no. And then with Iran and Israel, if you go and see Khyber Shikan missile, the way they were doing things, it was surprising. Just the visual of it, Khyber Shikan was amazing. It looks like an angel in the sky, like an
yeah,
orb. You don't see any kind of that technology Russia is implementing.
no, but I mean, the technology that we're talking about is not sort of this level of technology stuff that
But
we're
we
talking.
don't even see that level of technology coming
No,
out.
no, but the point is, I think all these countries have been diverting resources to those level of technologies. Although the point is, I think, with all these countries is, first of all, that they might not really know what they have themselves. And
What's the
might not
point?
even have control over the groups who are developing them. And then secondly, they might also not know how far developed their counterparties, their rivals are. And if you start using, because that's what Ross is saying, is like, if you start using these new kind of technologies and you don't know how far along the other party is, then you risk destroying the world. It's basically what you're risking.
This is what
That's why you're not deploying them.
But I'm not saying to deploy a scalar technology, but I'm saying like you need to show some advancement. For example, United States have shown us P2 bomber, which is undetectable, right? That's a
Right.
technology. You can see that, okay, they have scalar technology, which is so far away, but even their conventional technology reflects something. Even the small countries like Iran and Pakistan are showing something. Russia is not showing anything, to be honest. They are just dragging a war with Ukraine, man. This is embarrassing. You're Russia. You're getting dragged into a fourth year of war with Russia, with Ukraine. That's
No,
embarrassing.
not Ukraine, with Europe and America, because they're
Well,
not
on the
fighting
paper,
Ukraine.
on the paper.
They're fighting. Russia is fighting Europe and America,
Not
who are
directly.
fighting in Ukraine.
Indirectly, everyone support everyone, right? But we are talking about
No,
directly.
not supporting their military and equipment, the top level equipment of Europe. We don't have anything left to send. We sent all our best tanks and all our best fighters to Ukraine. But
Yeah, this
Germany
is
hasn't anything left.
Which is okay. This could be a Russia's plan to drag the war, so they take out all your weapons and then they attack Russia, the Europe,
No,
because
no,
you are defenseless now.
no. I think the point of this exercise is that I mean that might be an idea of Russia, but I don't think. I think that the point of what they're doing is, first of all, they're practicing combat, like live action combat, because a lot of these countries haven't had live combat for a long time. First, and they want to have less people, they want inflation, they want to have an economy that works. But secondly, also they want to get rid of all that old crap, right? All that legacy crap, military crap that the F-16s and all that stuff that's useless. And then after that, they can sort of and during that they can sort of test each other's real capabilities, the next level capabilities, which will be which will be done in a very very subtle way, I think, because they are aware of that if something goes wrong at that level, then all bets are off. But I think they first want to get rid of us and all the old weapon systems and just practice combat.
Okay, let's see. Which means if they're practicing like this, which means it means that something really big is coming. If Ukraine and Russia war is a practice, oh my god, I don't know what's coming.
Yeah, that's why it should stop, right? And I mean also the wars in the Middle East, and every war should stop immediately, because these technologies are insane, right? If they go to the they're I think they're building it up step by step.
Oh yeah.
And
I think their big plan is like 2030, because there's like a big prophecy about the solar eclipse on Jerusalem, and that is coming in 2030. Based on my theory, is totally based on that if they are religiously fanatic and they want to do something, then they will try to do it on 2030.
Yeah, but
Which
let's
is not
hope.
that far away. 5
Let's
years.
hope and pray that Chris Bledsoe is right, and these orbs are going to wake us all up, and that April 2026 or 26, 27, as the remote viewers that they used all seem to say, hey, something really big is going to happen in 26, 27. Let's hope by God that that's going to happen and that they will intervene before things go terribly, terribly,
I
terribly.
just really hope we don't mess up that big that God has to send Jesus back. I hope we can resolve our own problems. That's all I'm gonna say. Because that will be very
Well,
embarrassing for us that we can't solve our problem, that God had to intervene, and that will be terrible.
yeah, I think we already failed miserably.
Anyway, let's end
Yeah,
this.
let's end the show. I'll edit it a bit and release it on Sunday. And
And
it was
then
fun.
we are going on a big break, so we'll be back after a month or so.
It was fun,
Bye.
Sid. All right, take care.
Bye.